Okay, great. Hi, everybody. I'm Karina. I work at Michael's in the marketing department. And today I'll be teaching you, really walking you through, not really teaching you too much, but walking you through how to put together this lion pumpkin with our pumpkin decor kit from Michael's. So this kit has everything that you need. So if we want to, I can go ahead and start showing you what's in here. Okay, so you're going to need a pumpkin. Obviously, that's the only thing that doesn't come with your kit. And then the kit includes some crepe paper for the mane, the little ear cutouts, the nose, the mouth, and the little cheeks, the wiggle eyes, and this little plastic for the whiskers. It also comes with paint. And as you can see, I already have this one out because last time, so on Tuesday, I did the monster pumpkin. And what I realized is that the paint takes a while to dry. And so if you can see the difference here, this is a finished pumpkin that I was able to paint 2 layers of paint on. So I painted the first layer, let it dry, and then painted the second layer and let that dry. So what I did for today's class so that I can try to finish the lion pumpkin is I started with the base coat already. So this already has the 1 layer of paint on it. And then I was gonna just work along with you guys to do the second layer of paint. So you might not be able to finish the kit just within the next 30 to 45 minutes, just because of the drying time that it takes for you can always just do 1 layer of paint if that's what you'd like to do, but I found that 2 layers was the best. It covered the best. And I used cream pumpkins, and you can use orange. It would almost work about the same, but I since we were trying to paint them yellow, that the white pumpkins would probably be better so that the orange wouldn't come through. And so if you have your kit, if we don't have any questions, I'll go ahead and ask you. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A and I can answer those for you. We can talk about alternatives if you don't have this kit. So I'm going to go ahead and start painting if we don't have any questions.
We've got one who's got a white pumpkin. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's exactly the color pumpkin that I used here. This just has 1 layer of yellow paint already. So the good thing about these paint pots is that comes with a kit. This is all the paint that I needed and that I used to do both coats on the pumpkins. So that was really easy for me. And I didn't realize that. And I had actually bought my own, a couple different paints here. I had bought some washable Creatology paint and some Craftsmart acrylic paint. I have found that acrylic paint works better on these craft pumpkins rather than washable paint. Although washable paint will work, I think it takes longer to dry and to cover fully. So
Do they have to paint their pumpkin, or can they just leave it as is?
No, you can definitely leave it as is. Just if you're following along with the craft that I'm doing today, that's the only reason I'm painting it. So I'm sure you guys are more creative and probably are creating all kinds of fun pumpkins. I know on Tuesday, we heard someone that was making a unicorn pumpkin and a rainbow pumpkin. I love bright colors, so I think that would be really fun to do. And I'm probably going to buy some real pumpkins and also kind of decorate those instead of carving them. Although carving is fun, it's just I really like to add glitter and sequins or different colors. So this sponge brush is really great for covering as well. I found that super helpful, more so than brushes. I felt like you can see the streaks more with brushes. So I found that really helpful. Any questions on supplies for today's craft or any alternatives?
Someone is working with a real pumpkin instead of a craft pumpkin.
Nice. Yeah, I think last time I was telling people that I think a real pumpkin will work, but sometimes the real pumpkins have like a waxy exterior that sometimes you need to make sure you wash that off so that the paint can stick. And then I've found that also this kit makes it easy to make a face, but you can always use construction paper to glue on your pumpkin to make a face. You can also use paint pens to draw on your pumpkin. We discovered on Tuesday that using like washable markers doesn't really work so well on these craft pumpkins. So we'd want to stick to paint or paint pens or gluing with construction paper so that we can make our faces if we want to add faces. So I really like using this paint. It's pretty easy and it's not very messy. The one thing is that, again, the drying time, I think I painted this, it was earlier today and it took about 30 to 45 minutes to fully dry. And that's because I had put on like a thick layer of paint. But so I think that if you, to get both coats on your pumpkin, you'd probably need a full hour of drying time.
And is there, will any size pumpkin work, or does it have to be the 9-inch pumpkin?
I think any size pumpkin will work, especially with this kit. I've discovered this is a 9-inch pumpkin, but I discovered that you have more than enough. The only thing I would caution is the paint. So the paint, I used almost the whole paint pot right now with this second coat. If you had a bigger pumpkin, you might not have enough of the paint in the kit to complete it, but you will have enough of the other material. So I'll talk you through the rest of the stuff in here. So the crepe paper that they give you is more than enough to come around and create a mane multiple times. So here I only did 2 layers of the crepe paper to create the mane, but I had this extra here. So I could have made 2 more layers with this, the material that I was given in the kit. So I'm just filling in all the areas where I see white peeking through. And I really don't see a lot. So I think that that first coat really helped. And I think that first coat will be the one that takes the longest to dry. This second coat is going to dry quicker just because you already have that first coat and you're really not putting that much paint on your second coat. So that looks pretty good. So as you can see, I used almost all of it. And I'm going to set that aside. And let's see if I can grab something to help it dry. Any questions at this point? And we'll talk through the next pieces.
We don't have any questions right now. We just have some kids who are painting.
Oh yeah, painting is fun. It always takes me a while to kind of cover. So I'm going to give you a minute and I'm going to grab probably some cardstock to help just kind of fan my pumpkin. You know what I could also do is I could try to finish my pumpkin from the other day. I wasn't able to finish my monster pumpkin on the class because we were waiting for the paint to dry. This is fun. So another thing that I'll talk you through, the other pieces here. So this is super easy because this is adhesive foam, so you don't need glue for this. But the ears are not adhesive foam. You see, they are just regular craft foam. So you can either use like Elmer's glue, or you can see if your parents around, they can help with some hot glue. That'll help it stick faster. But I used regular school glue to get the ears on. They're still drying because I did it not too long ago. I used the regular school glue for the eyes as well. But the little cheek circles, adhesive foam, so that makes it super easy. What else? What else will we need? Oh, the crepe paper. So you'll need scissors for your crepe paper. I'm gonna fan this a little more and then I'll get into what we do with the crepe paper so we can have that ready in a second. Spin it. Now I really want to turn this one, instead of making another lion, because I already have a lion here, I really want to make it like a little minion, because oh,
I love that.
My son loves minions.
You could use a mason jar lid as like their little goggle.
Yeah, I could try to do maybe like the lion on one side and then a minion on the other.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cute.
You could do a minion dressed up as a lion.
Yeah, that's true. That's cute. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry while I'll talk you through what we're gonna do with the crepe paper. And so this is a leftover that I had from the first one, but I'll just talk you through. And it was actually a little bit longer. So this is how it comes. It's nicely folded for you, so you don't even, that helps you a lot, and I'll show you why. Since it's already folded, all I did was cut it in half. So if you cut that first, this is how it looks. If you cut this in half and then cut it in half again, you'll get the layers that you need. So then you grab one and then you just cut like maybe 1/4 inch strips, not all the way through. You can make them 1/2 inch. Get it close. And just make sure you don't cut all the way through. You just want to have this to be able to, once you and you unfold it, it's just going to be a strip of fringe. And then this strip of fringe, you can just glue on to the pumpkin as the mane. And what I did with this one was I just did 2 layers. So I traced a big circle around the face, and then with glue, with Elmer's school glue, and then I just dabbed the glue down a little bit so that the tissue paper or the crepe paper wouldn't like tear. So after I did 1 layer, I put a little more glue on and I did a 2nd layer. And you can always add a 3rd and a 4th because we have more than enough for that. But I thought 2 was plenty. So there's.
So we have someone wondering if they can use a blow dryer to help dry their pumpkin.
I'm sure you can if you can get your parents to help you get that. And I think that would help a lot. I think mine's almost ready.
And we need another demonstration of the crepe paper, please.
Yeah, of course. We're going to need to do a few layers. So let's go back to the strips that we have left. And then we're going to just cut, not all the way through, just about 1/4 to 1/2 inch in width. All the way to the end. And then when you unfold it, it's the nice little fringe. So now I have 2 strips of fringe.
So before you cut them into those smaller rectangles, what did you do?
Oh, so this is kind of how it came. This was like a bigger rectangle. I just cut it in half and then I cut it in half again. So it's 1/4 of the length of the size of crepe paper the way it comes.
So the fold at the top, the bottom, or the sides?
Oh, it was already folded. So I didn't fold it. When it comes in the kit, it's already folded. And so I unfolded it so that I can have 1 long rectangle. And I cut that rectangle in half. So essentially the fold that it was, where it was folded was my guide for where to cut it. And then from there, I cut it in half again. So from 1 piece of crepe paper that was already, so this is folded. Let me show you. It's already folded, but it was folded again the other way. And so when I unfolded it that way, I left it already folded, I guess, would it be horizontally, so that I can easily cut through it. And then I cut this in half again. So I could get 4 strips of fringe from crepe paper material. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, so it comes folded for a reason in your kit because that helps you keep it together when you're cutting the fringe. So it kind of saves you a step from doing that yourself. So that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of these while we probably wait maybe like 5 more minutes for the paint to dry. So again, you don't cut all the way through, just about 3/4 of the way so it stays together.
When you unfold it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So here we're unfolding it.
Can they use tape instead of glue?
Yeah, I'm sure tape would work. Would be faster too than waiting for glue to dry. I found that I have to hold like I had to hold the wiggle eye on for a good 30 seconds to make sure that the glue stuck. Okay. So that's 3. I still have my hot glue on over here. Okay, now I'm going to cut this last piece about in half to make my other strips. You're giving your lion some hair. And if I use all of these strips, it's going to have a lot of hair. Okay. I could also make this into, use some of the extras for like a little piñata. Because the crepe paper is what you use to make little, to decorate piñatas. Okay. Last one. All right. Be careful when you're cutting these. You don't want to nip your fingers. Okay. So I have my lion hair ready. Let's feel out. Where's the driest part of my pumpkin? I think this is my driest part right here. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding the facial features. Uh-oh, what was that? Okay. So I started the mouth. I started from the bottom. That's the first element on the pumpkin. So you just peel it off. I really love this. It makes it so simple. Now find kind of the center of your pumpkin, of your face. Okay. Now let's get the nose ready. Let's peel the nose. And this is a fun nose. It has a little glitter on the end of it. So the way the photo shows it, the nose kind of overlaps the mouth. So we're gonna try to align it right, like that. And then we can add the little cheeks. And these have nice iridescent glitter on them, which I love. Here, I'll show you an up close. So can you see the glitter? And this one, so according to the guide, it's just almost just to the right of this, of the glitter from the bottom of the nose. So I'm using the nose as a guide for me. So the bottom of the nose. Okay, now we have to add the eyes. Working my way up slowly. The eyes, you're gonna need glue for this, so I'm going to use hot glue just because I already have it out. But you can use Elmer's glue. And put the eyes right there. Not all the way at the top of the nose, kind of right next to it. Okay, now grab a little more hot glue. I burned myself. And that's why sometimes Elmer's glue is better. Okay. Now we're going to add the ears. Actually, we added the ears last because if you look at the finished product, the ears are kind of in front of the mane. So I found it easier to start with the mane. So, okay, getting ready. So what I did was kind of create a circle around the face, like so, with glue. It kind of just frames the face. Okay, now, what Raina had a great idea is that crepe paper can tend to rip on like very runny glue with very runny glue like this. So you just kind of smear it a little bit with your finger or a piece of paper. And then that makes it easier for the crepe paper to stick. So let's start sticking it on. Okay. And as you can see, it's more than enough to get you around one time for the face. So you can start sticking it the second time around. So I'll add some dimension to the mane. Okay. So I'm gonna add a little bit of glue, a little more glue so that I can add my next layer. And so the mane can be nice and voluminous. Okay. Second layer, starting at the top this time, but going clockwise instead of counterclockwise. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I guess I just had a preference to do it the other way. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to add a little more glue. Are there any questions on this part of it?
Me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry, I had to switch headphones because the other ones died. There are no questions right now.
Okay.
People are
I'm
just
sure you guys
working on their layers of manes.
Oh, okay, good. I was like, I'm sure some of you might still be waiting for your paint to dry, so.
For that too. I wonder if anybody's out there making other animals.
Yeah. I'm gonna check on my hot glue. while I let this dry a second. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and do a third layer on this one. I don't want to add too much glue because look, as you can see right here, it's starting to rip. So I'm going to just do one more layer, and I think that'll be my last one. And another thing you can do instead of like just dabbing it on here with is have like a tablespoon of glue on a paper plate and just brush it on. That could be another way to do it so you don't put too much glue. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Need a little more glue. Okay. Is anybody dressing up for Halloween? Have you guys have Halloween costume ideas? I think a lion would be really cute. You could make your mane out of yarn and stick it to like a sweatshirt with a hoodie. That'd be really cute. I mean, I don't know if we'll do anything special like we have the prior years, but it'd be nice to just dress up even if you're just at home.
So Renee says she's going to be a soccer player.
Oh, I like that. Soccer player. I loved playing soccer when I was younger. That was even as an adult, I did play soccer for a little bit.
I think my youngest is going to be a shark.
Oh, how cute. I love that. You can go around playing the Baby Shark song.
Yeah. Nana took her to the store and they got a shark costume, so that's probably what she'll be. Christina is going to be a singer.
A what? A singer?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Once you have your third layer of mane here, you just kind of use your hands to fluff it like this to give it some volume. No hairspray needed, just your fingers. And then we're gonna add, see, we had some left over here. I knew we weren't going to use them all, but just in case. Then we have the ears to add. Here they are. Ears and then the whiskers. So the whiskers I found that the hot glue worked best to get this on. The school glue did not really help it stick. I did use the school glue for the ears, so. So
Celine is dressing up as a pteranodon.
Oh, wow.
I think I would love to see that costume.
Yes, I would so love to see that.
And then we have someone else who is going to be a Skeleta person from Monster High. I think I know which one they're talking about.
Oh, okay.
I haven't. My daughter's grown out of Monster High a little bit ago, but I think I know which one that one is.
My son, I think, wants to be a firefighter, and I want to turn his little push car into a fire truck.
Oh,
That's my project that I want to do. Okay. So I just cut the whiskers in half. And I think what I'm going to do is try to just crisscross them like this. And use the hot glue to stick it on. So it only needs a little bit. Let's see if I can get this on. Two. Okay, that kind of works. So I tried two different methods, and I'll show you the lion side by side. This is the one we did just now, and I cut the whiskers and then just crisscrossed them. Then here's the one I did earlier, and I used school glue, and it's still kind of, the eyeballs are going all over the place. And I just folded the whiskers and used the hot glue to get them to stick. So I'm not sure, whichever version you prefer. I think I prefer this version. But I'll show you kind of what the guide shows 3 whiskers, but I just did 2 for each side. So those are our lions. Are there any questions?
We don't have any questions at the moment.
Okay.
We might have some kids
Well,
waiting for their pumpkins to dry.
Yeah, probably. So I'll just, I'll walk you through kind of the steps after the mane and putting on the face. So when we put on the face, we started from the bottom. We put on the mouth, then the nose, then the cheeks, then the eyes. And then we put on the mane. And then we put on the ears using school glue. And then we put the whiskers on with some hot glue. So once you're able to let your paint dry and add that second coat, this is kind of what your lion will look like. So if you can share, have your parents share on social media using the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels, that would be great. We can take a look and share. I'd love to see your inspiration, even if you did not make these lion kits. We have a lot of different ones. I think we have a witch one, and we made the monster one on Tuesday, but just wanted to thank you for crafting with me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
We do have one last question.
Okay.
How do they cut it so that they get 3 whiskers on each side if they want to do the 3 whiskers?
3 whiskers, I'm pretty sure, so it was one long piece. So if it was one long piece, I would probably, when you cut it in half, if you're doing three whiskers, it's probably just, let me try to measure it. About 5 inches. So I would say About 1.5 inches. So to get each whisker, you probably need to cut it about 1.5 inches each side, so that you can get 3 whiskers on each side. All right, well, thank you so much, and hope to see your pumpkins later. Bye.